This is part 2 because I can only do 15 minutes at a time. If you haven't seen part 1, watch it. There's no point in watching this video if you haven't seen part 1. And you don't even really have to watch it. You can just read the description in part 1 if you prefer to read. But if you don't, you're around doing stuff, feel free to listen. Anyway, where I pick up where I left off. But I've rambled too much about hats. The reason you aren't doing this is because you're assuming no one is lying to you. It's important that you understand that and keep it at the front of your mind. You're assuming that the people who are informing you of this event have no reason to ever mislead you. Again, this is not fun for me to talk about. This all goes into the fun category, so let's have some fun. I think he made a typo there, but he was typing quickly. There sure have been a lot of plane problems lately, haven't there? The result is that a lot of people are feeling afraid of flying. That is certainly a consequence of this. Am I saying that's the purpose of these stage events? No, I am not. But it is certainly a curious effect of having so many of these events reported. Some people will tell you that they use fear to control us, but I don't want to get sidetracked any further than I have. Lytic fallacies, next question. Your NWO network of crisis actors and people in it and people in on it must amount to tens of thousands of people. Lesta, that is according to you. Furthermore, one thing I notice about you is that you create your own kind of straw man, and that you paint a ridiculous or an impossible scenario so that you can say, and that's just nuts, so it must all be real. I don't think you're at the stage where you are honest enough with yourself to admit you're doing this, but it's obvious to others. And by the way, you are the one using the term NWO, which I assume you mean New World Order. That is not my term. I don't use that term. I've written nothing on that concept. This is another thing you do. You ascribe your beliefs about all conspiracy theorists, then you attach them to me. You assume that I believe, just as all the other conspiracy theorists do, as I've said more than once. Lesta is not your typical conspiracy theorist. And besides, many who claim to be truthers are no such thing. They are liars and shills themselves. But that's another discussion, and you haven't even begun to scratch the surface of this one. Tell me, have you ever been to the circus? I have. I don't think much of them in general. They smell too much like elephant shit. The acrobatics are cool, though. Do you know how many people are involved in just one circus? It's a lot. Do you know how much planning and rehearsal goes into what they do? Also a lot. In the entire world, there are a lot of circuses. A huge number of people are involved. And you and I will never know these people. We will never meet these people. In our day-to-day life, we will never know who is in the circus and who is not. A problem you have is, how can there be so many people involved who must all be a part of this? Well, I say that with your logic, you would struggle to believe that there can be circuses. Because I don't know anyone in a circus, and probably neither do you. Do you see that just because you can't imagine something doesn't mean it can't exist? I would imagine there are far more people who do acting and have even taken acting lessons than there are people in a circus. How many actual actors do you even know? I bet it's not many, if any. Myself, by the way, I actually only know one. But I only met him a couple of years ago. Anyway, but I bet those in a circus know plenty of other people who are also in a circus. I don't know anybody in a circus either, by the way. And I bet those who are actors know plenty of other people who are also actors. It's just that we are not in their world. We are not in their sphere of influence. All I am suggesting from this is, just because you can't imagine or visualize a group of people who might act in a stage event, doesn't mean they don't exist. If you think it through, then you must remain open to the possibility that they could, just as you know there must be people in the circus, etc. I can go further. Think of 100 different sports you've never played. Each of these sports has tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of players each year, but you don't know any of them. You won't meet any of them. But yet they exist. It's just we struggle to conceive it. Again, all of this is philosophical. The fact that you are asking these questions tells me that you have never given things much thought. That tells me that you're new to all of this, despite how old you may be. Hitherto, you've gone through life just assuming things are really as you are told they are. Lytic fallacies. The Boston bombings. How the hell would you set up a fake blown-off leg thing prior to the incident? Lesta. Again, this is not for me to answer. I don't know how they did it. I do not need to explain to anyone how a magic trick has been done, especially not to someone who still believes magic is real. Let me repeat that again. It is not for me. Well, yeah. I'm not going to repeat it. Even if I could tell you, it doesn't mean you would even believe me. But on this topic, I will say this. Go and take another look at Jeff Bauman's legs. Look at him in the wheelchair where you can see both of his stumps and the mighty Arredondo holding his artery. Look at the picture, which is a still shot in time. Look for any evidence of blood on the ground or really of anywhere. If you can't find the photo I am talking about, tell me and I will upload it for you. Have you ever had a bloody nose? Of course you have. We all have. And like everyone, you would have struggled to prevent getting blood all over the place. That's just a simple blood burst vessel in your nose, and it just keeps on bleeding until eventually it stops. Now please apply some common sense to what you're seeing with Jeff Bauman. If you cannot see anything wrong with what you're being shown, then everything else I've written can only sound crazy to you. That's not my fault. That's your problem to overcome. Start wearing different hats. I am beyond the illusion now. Other people here are also beyond the illusion. If you are a genuine person who simply believes the events around you, then I hope that one day you too will see through the illusion. Just a big problem I see with you is you get stuck on how did they do it. And if you can't answer this, your brain shuts down and gobbles up the official narrative. After all, you are being given the answer, the official answer. And that official answer is whatever they tell you happened. That's a trademark because that guy likes to do, Ludic Fallacies likes to put trademark next to they. They did it. Anyway, and because you can't explain the trick, and because you have been conditioned from birth to believe what you are told, and because from birth you have been conditioned to ridicule anyone brave enough to say otherwise, you have no choice but to swallow the official story hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker. In such a world, every single oddity has an explanation, but you never scrutinize that explanation, do you? Not really. If you did, you could not continue to believe the nonsense around you. Because if you dare put on a different hat, the hat that covers "it is staged," you will discover a new world. You will discover that your plausible explanation isn't really an explanation at all. It's just something that keeps you from asking even more questions. In a contrived event, all oddities can only have flawed explanations, because a lie can only lead to another lie. No truth can come from a deception. You have to become a guru. You have to figure this out for yourself. The experts on TV will only ever tell you it was all real, so please go and donate to the fund that has been set up to help the victims. When you grow up, there was no one to help you. It is all up to you. You are on your own. You are entirely responsible for your own thoughts, your own actions, your own beliefs. You. No one else can help you. And because you are in a herd, it is very difficult to stray, because you'll be all alone. There is no one there with you. Everyone else will call you crazy. Everyone else will ridicule you. You don't want that, do you? So don't stray. Stray with the herd. Swallow the official story. Hook, line, and sinker. And make fun of all those who have found a way to break free from this mental abuse. Right now, you strike me as someone who simply believes the world around you. You believe what you were told because you haven't learned to be skeptical of authority yet. Every comment you have written to me can be explained by this hat. Yes, I even wear hats when reading and responding to comments. I am not stuck with just one hat. I am not stuck with one bias. Didn't you know? Lesta is not your typical conspiracy theorist. I don't think you're a true troll or a true shill, but you certainly can come across that way. I just think you're very much at the beginning of a long journey. Most people here who are telling you that events are hoaxes woke up around the time of Sandy Hook and Boston Hoaxathon. They are the two main events that cause people to stop and think. Hang on, some of this just doesn't seem to add up, they'd think. And rather than go back to sleep and swallow the official story, they continued to explore things. They continued to question things. Whether they knew it or not, they managed to find a new hat and put it on, and it opened them up to a whole new world. A world that you are not yet a part of. You are still an outsider peering in. You are still afraid of straying from the herd. You are still afraid of others abusing you. That's perfectly natural. That's your ego stopping you. If you want to know why Lesta can refer to Lesta in third person, because Lesta is not bound to a single ego like you. If you are a sincere and genuine person, then there may be hope for you. Not everything that conspiracy theorists say are true. Of course not. Much of it is BS. But the mistake you are making is that all conspiracy theorists must believe the same BS, and that's a mistake. Events in this world are being staged. Anyone with eyes to see can see it. Anyone with ears to hear can hear the simple truth. Anyone with a brain to comprehend it will comprehend it. But I can't do the thinking for you. No one else can. That's your responsibility. That's what being an adult is all about, being responsible for your own thoughts. When a bird grows up, it leaves the nest. When a man grows up, he leaves the herd. But this process won't happen overnight. And it can't happen while you remain closed and stuck on trying to explain the magic tricks. Stop trying to explain the tricks and instead try to understand that you are seeing magic tricks. I hope I have managed to cover some of the points you have raised. I have no doubt that you will misunderstand and misrepresent what I have written. I have no doubt about that at all. That is why I wrote this for everyone else. Maybe I can sum it all up like this, and I and others have found a way for what we are saying to be true, whereas you still haven't found the key. If you see Obama with the victims of the Boston Hoaxathon and you can realize that the Boston event was a hoax, then it means the deception goes all the way to the President of these United States of America. That is why I feel the Boston Hoaxathon is such an important event to focus on. Because when you can see that it was BS, and then you see it was connected, involved, and then a whole new world will be open to you. Anyway, well, he wrote a lot. So that's the end of the long Lesta pace. I like this guy. And I've really liked conversing with him in comments. He's really cool to talk to. He likes to leave long comments, but they're thought out. They're smart, okay? And you know, he's not stuck in logical fallacies or anything like that. So I gotta appreciate the guy. Even as weird as the Chris Kyle subject is, if you haven't seen it, I suggest you check it out. He doesn't have conclusions about it yet. He's just trying to, he's probing it, I guess you could say. But anyway, this might be my last video for a little bit. I don't know how long, but thank you, Professor Doom. Or sorry, Dr. Professor Doom. I like calling you that. I think, was it Wolfgang or Shanley or Fetzer that called you that? Anyway, oh yeah, thanks for the video making program. It is very cool, but I'm getting to know it, and I intend to make a very powerful video here as soon as I can. Maybe if there's some interesting events, you know, more beheadings or something, I'll probably end up covering them in screencast, but so stay tuned.